Hello everyone, I am Aditya Kumar. I am the Chief Technology Officer at Advisor.com, and today I welcome you all to the Advanced Web. Before we start with the actual topic, I would like to tell you a little about me. So I am a polyglot programmer who is into programming since 2008. I have worked with the early generation of languages like C, C++, etc. also, and I've worked with all the early generation development tools and technologies like .NET in both VB and C Sharp, and including its frameworks like ASP.NET, Windows Form, WPF, Silverlight, and whatnot, and also in PHP and its framework like Symfony, Laravel, and Cake PHP, to recall some of them, and Python its framework like Django, and I've developed several projects in the same. After that, I moved to MeanStack, which is my favorite now. I've been working in MeanStack for more than 4 years now, with a specialty in Node.js, Angular, and MongoDB. Also, at the same time, I've been working in some architectural side as well, like in Docker, Kubernetes, Chef, Ansible, things like that. Apart from this, I have more than 4 years of experience in consultation, technology consulting, where I've had several companies in setting up their minimum viable products or scaling up their architectures, and drawing up their architectural diagram, giving them a consultation on what kind of technology they should go for, or how to meet the increased traffic and demand, how to set up their clusters, etc. And apart from that, obviously, I co-founded Advisor.com, and I've been working as a Chief Technology Officer to scale up the product and technology side of the business. So that's about me. Let's start with the topic of the day. Okay, we will be covering following concepts to start with. First is history of internet. Then we will be talking about earlier models that were there. Then we have how modern web works, and a little about client and server model. Okay, so they may look a little theoretical to you right now, but the idea is to give you the perspective to understand, why technologies grew like this. Okay, or how did we reach here? So even before we jump into the real programming, that is JavaScript, we would like to understand what has been the context before and what is the problem that existed and how we are solving it with the current set of technologies that we are about to learn. So this section of the level, that is Introduction to Advanced Web, will help you put things into perspective and better understand what we are doing. Then obviously we'll jump to the JavaScript programming part of it. So you'll have to bear with me a little bit, okay, till the time we are dealing with the theory. But trust me, once you're done with the program, this will be totally worth it. Okay, so bear with me till the theory part, and pretty soon we'll jump to the programming. Okay, this is more of an introduction to what you are getting into. So I assume a lot of you may not know about the terminologies involved or the components involved. That's why this video series is there. Okay, so let's see how it goes. Let's start with the first topic. So the first bit is about history of internet. Although internet was theorized in 1960s, but the real world application of internet came in 1991. Okay, so it was developed by a person called Tim Berners-Lee. I would strongly recommend that you go to his Wikipedia page and learn about him. He's one of the living legends we have. That's where the story began. So as you can see, internet is not too much old. Okay, near about 25-26 years old, that's it. And but the real attention that it gathered was somewhere around 1995, where personal computing became more and more common, and people started buying computers in their home. Okay, that's where it really grew. And in 2017, when this video is being recorded, there are like more than 3,885 million users on internet, which is like roughly 51% of world's population. Okay, so it may come as a surprise to some people that yes, a lot of people are still to come on internet. Okay, although we didn't imagine that, right? But yeah, a lot of companies are making effort towards bringing these people online. And then I think the third fact is quite known to all of us, that there are thousands of companies that exist just based on internet. They are called internet businesses. Okay, they don't have any manufacturing or production setup, etc. Or they may have some level of manufacturing or production, but not a lot. Okay, and their main presence is on internet only. They are consumer facing businesses based on internet, and a lot of them have joined the $1 billion club. Okay, so they have managed to take their revenues and they take their business to a new height just out of internet only. Okay, I think that's something that doesn't need introduction. We all use Facebook, we all use WhatsApp, we all use Uber and stuff like that. So moving on to the next part. This is an overview of how internet grew over time. We had simple websites to begin with, which had simple web pages. Then came the need of some complex web applications, especially to support businesses and need for information storage and exchange. And today we have a distributed kind of a system where there are some server side part and there is a client side part and everything. Let's get into the details of it very quickly, one by one. And obviously we'll be talking about backend and front end separately, because they are the core part of the program as well as a core part of how web works. So we really need to have a context of that. So moving on to the first part, that is earlier version of websites. They were very simple. You can think of the devices as clients or users, that is us. Okay, we used to request a web page. Okay, we used to open our browser. We just used to punch a website address, which we still do, right? But it's a little bit complicated now. Then the request went to the servers, which for now you can think of as a bunch of computers that are holding the information or the website in this case. The request went to the servers. Then the servers returned the web page with the data, and it was displayed in our devices. And but towards the middle of the era, there came the need of data storage. Okay, today we see that we have sign up forms on the website. We have to put our first name, last name, email IDs, mobile numbers, some data which is meant to help us build a better context of us, okay, on the profile or the profile of us on that website. So there came the need of data storage towards the middle, somewhere around 95 to 2000, and system became a little complicated, where a third thing was introduced, that was databases. Okay, databases are something that store information. So this third symbol that is there, that is the database. What happened was that clients used to make a request for the web page. The server then further made a request for the data that was associated with that. For example, file information. That data was sent back to the server or the application that was there in the server, and the server then sent the web page with the data, all the data from the database as well. Okay, so this is how it became in the middle, towards the middle, and it was good till a point, till a certain point of scale or users, let's say a million users or something. But as a lot of people coming on the internet, okay, there came a need of much more complicated structures to handle the traffic. Okay, because ideally talking, internet was never built for scale. Okay, even frankly speaking, I've read in some of the books that were written in that era, and even the some of the interviews that happened for the people that were there in the early part of the development of internet. They said they didn't imagine common consumers using internet to even begin with. They always thought that this is going to be a forte of certain techies or certain people who are interested towards technology, but not a common man. But with the advent of mobile devices, which could open these apps and these web pages, internet became a massive tool of for businesses also, and for common people also, to make their life simpler. And then there came the need of complex architectures, which we'll be looking at this slide. Okay, and then we will be talking about the various components one by one. So let's talk about modern web. Well, modern web is a bit complicated than the earlier versions of internet. This is the overview of an architecture you can imagine, for a website which has more than thousands of users. Okay, so they usually have a front end. Okay, this is how it goes. We have a client or the users with devices, that is us. Then they make a request to the front end, through our browser, which are like Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox, whatever you use. I hope you don't use Internet Explorer. Okay, and then they make the request to the website URL like facebook.com or Instagram or anything. Okay, or Flipkart, Amazon, whatever your favorite website is. They make the request for this, and that request goes to the front end part of the things. Okay, so in front end we have HTML, CSS, JS, some frameworks like jQuery or Angular, etc., which make up these applications which are visible to the users. Okay, so whatever is visible to you, that is front end. You can think of it as the user facing part of the architecture. But what is really happening behind the scene is we have front ends making requests to something called backend. Okay, where these things are there: REST, SOAP services, WebSockets, and HTTP. Okay, and they make this request through HTTP request and response using a thing called API. Okay, These backends in turn, again, they have to make a request to the database to get the information. Okay, so let's say, you're trying to log into a website. What happens is you fire up the login page of the website. So the front end part opens up, that is the login page. Okay, you put your username and your password, then that request goes to the backend. Okay, where backend further tries to verify whether it's really you or not. For that, it goes to the database. In that database, your records are stored. When you signed up, you created your email and your password, so it looks for the same email and password. If it matches, it says the database sends the information to the backend says, okay, now you are verified, you are putting in the right information. It informs the front end, and the front end then logs you into the dashboard. Okay, so this is how the modern systems work. Okay, every part has its own role, every part has its own importance, and don't worry, we'll be talking about one by one about front end also and back end also, a little bit about databases also. So this is just an overview of what is happening in the internet world right now. Okay, this is how a normal architecture looks like. Before we proceed to the details of front end, back end and databases, I would like to tell you the story of client and server. Okay, because these are some terms that you will be using a lot, especially in your career as a web developer, and they confuse a lot of people. So think of it like this. When I say client, anything that is trying to access information, it can be a tablet, it can be a mobile device, it can be laptops, it can be anything else. You can even call your browser as a client, right? Because it's trying to access the information. And anything that stores the information or processes it, or gets the information from other parts of the system, that is server. Okay, so till this point we were assuming server to be a box of computers or bunch of computers together, but in general sense, server is anything that is the information gathering mechanism or calculation mechanism or storage mechanism. So think like that. Okay, when I say client, the picture that should come into your mind is you or the devices that you're using. When I say server, the picture that should come into your mind should be a computer containing some program, which knows what to do with the information, what to do with your request, and what is the response it should send, or what is the web page it should send to you. Okay, so this is how you're going to imagine things from now. Obviously, as we grow in our journey, you will come to know a lot of things about client also and server also, and this definition is going to change. But for now, you should stick to this and stick to this picture and move on to the next parts, that is details of front end and back end. So next steps are learning about concepts of front end and back end developments. Let's get to that.